Welcome to Angel's message for you. Blessings upon you, beautiful soul. Right now, in this very moment, as your eyes move across these words, the angels are surrounding you with a warm and golden light. They see you completely. They know your name. They know every single thing you have been carrying inside your heart. And they sent me here today with a message that was prepared specifically and personally for you. Not for the person next to you, not for the world in general, for you, for this moment, for exactly where you are right now in your life and in your heart. So before we go any further, I want you to do one thing. Stop. Take one slow, deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let yourself arrive fully in this moment. Because what you are about to hear is something your soul has been waiting for. The angels revealed something to me that is so specific, so powerfully timed, and so beautifully true that I believe with everything in me that you were guided here today for a reason. You did not find this message by accident. There are no accidents when the spiritual realm is at work. You were brought here because heaven has something it needs to say to you right now. Stay with me until the very last word of this message. Because the final part, what I share with you at the end, is the most important of all. Everything I say between now and then is building towards something. Something that is going to touch you in a place that has been waiting a long time to be reached. Something that is going to give your heart permission to feel what it already knows. Something shifted today. Something very significant. A vibration moved through the invisible space between heaven and earth, and it landed directly with me. I want you to understand what I mean when I say that, because this does not happen every single day. This kind of energy, this specific and unmistakable resonance, arrives only when something truly important is about to unfold in someone's life. And when it comes with the strength and clarity it brought today, I have learned over time to set everything else aside and pay full attention. Because it always means that heaven is preparing to move in someone's world in a meaningful and lasting way. And today, that someone is you. While you were going through your day, managing the ordinary details of life, doing your best with everything that is asked of you, something much larger was happening on a deeper and invisible level. Something sacred was already moving in the spiritual realm around you. Something that involves a person who holds a space in your heart that no one else has ever quite filled. Your soulmate, the soul that destiny keeps drawing back toward your path again and again, as if the universe itself simply cannot allow the connection between you to be forgotten or abandoned, no matter how much time passes or how much life tries to intervene. Right now, something is happening inside that person's heart that is about to change the direction of your shared story. The news that is making its way toward you is beautiful. It is genuine. It is the kind of news that lands not just in the mind but deep in the soul, the kind that makes you feel understood and confirmed and no longer alone in what you have been carrying. And it could not be arriving at a more perfect moment than this one. So let your heart soften right now, dear one. Let your spirit open just enough to receive what the angels are ready to reveal to you through this message. Your guardian angel is here with you today, not only to bring you comfort, though there is real comfort in what is being shared, but to reveal something that is going to reach into the places inside you that have been waiting the longest. The places that have stayed quiet and tender and hopeful even through the hardest seasons, and fill them with a warmth that only truth can bring. I want to be honest with you from the beginning. I am not here to tell you only what you want to hear. I am not here to create beautiful illusions that dissolve when you close your eyes. I am here to deliver what heaven has genuinely shown me. And what heaven has shown me today about you, about the person who loves you, and about what is already moving in the spiritual realm between you, is more beautiful than I can fully put into words. But I am going to try. The person who holds such a deep and sacred space in your heart has been restless lately. Not from pain, though there has been pain in this journey. The restlessness this person is experiencing right now comes from longing, from an overwhelming and growing desire to share something true, something that has been maturing inside their heart for longer than they have allowed themselves to admit. This is not a passing feeling or a moment of nostalgia. This is something that has been building layer by layer, through every quiet day and every sleepless night, through every moment when they tried to push it down and found that it simply would not stay down. This person has been going through their own internal awakening. Something real has shifted within them, something with depth and permanence. A new clarity has settled in, the kind that only comes after you have walked through enough darkness to finally appreciate what light actually means. And with that clarity came the full, undeniable weight of feelings that have been suppressed or buried or set aside for far too long. Feelings that have refused to disappear no matter how much this person wished they would behave and quiet themselves. What is coming your way is not just a message or a moment. It is a new chapter, a chapter where feelings finally get to live in the open air instead of hidden in the silence. A chapter where the distance between you begins to dissolve from the inside out. A chapter where the connection that has always existed between the two of you can finally grow in a way that is more honest, more complete, and more real than anything that has existed between you before. And the most important thing I want you to understand right now is that this new chapter is not built on wishful thinking or the kind of fragile hope that crumbles under pressure. It is built on real change, real healing, real spiritual movement that has been quietly and faithfully working beneath the surface of everything either of you could see with your eyes. Do you feel it? That gentle but persistent pull on your heart that has been showing up lately? That warmth that arrives unexpectedly in the middle of an ordinary afternoon without any obvious reason. That quiet, deep sense that something is on the verge of shifting, even though you cannot quite point to why or how you know. That feeling of standing at the entrance of something new without yet being able to see fully inside it. That is not your imagination running away with you. That is your spirit receiving a signal from the spiritual realm. And the signal is unmistakable. The one you love is moving toward you, not away from you, not sideways, toward you. There is a truth that has been quietly living inside this person's heart, carefully kept and closely guarded, but very much alive. A truth that has ripened now, that has reached the point where it is ready to be expressed, that can no longer remain locked away without costing this person something real. Fear held it back for a long time. Confusion built walls around it during seasons when the path was unclear. Pride, in certain moments, tried to speak more loudly than love. But something profound has changed within this person in recent months. A healing has been quietly taking place in the deep interior spaces of their life, in the silent hours, in the moments of stillness that show up whether we invite them or not. And in that healing, walls that once felt permanent have been softening. And now what was buried is rising. This is not a small movement. What your soulmate wants to share with you is the result of genuine inner work and real emotional growth. It is the result of a kind of courage that only develops when a heart has been humbled enough by its own longing to finally choose honesty over self-protection. And the most beautiful thing about this kind of courage is that it cannot be manufactured or forced. It has to grow on its own terms, through its own process, refined by its own fire. And it has been growing, quietly, steadily, and now it has reached the place where it is ready to move out into the open and be expressed. Think about how often lately your thoughts have drifted to this person without any conscious invitation. Think about the small moments where something inside you felt like it was quietly rearranging itself. A song that brought their memory back when you least expected it. A moment of unexpected peace that had no obvious source. A feeling in your chest, not the sharp ache of longing, but something softer and more hopeful beneath it. A time in the quiet of the night when you found yourself thinking of them and felt, just for a breath, as if they might be thinking of you too. As if something invisible was connecting you across whatever distance stood between you. None of that is by accident. The universe does not waste signs. It does not generate noise without meaning. Every one of those moments was heaven reaching close to you and whispering into the part of you that knows things before they can be proven. Stay open. Something is coming. What you feel is real. The knowing you carry is trustworthy. And now that something is almost here, your soulmate is feeling your absence the way you feel the absence of something that was always supposed to be there. Not just as memory, but as a presence that belongs in their daily life and has left a shape that nothing else can fill. Have you ever felt someone's absence so completely that it becomes louder than their presence ever was? That quiet, constant ache that no amount of distraction or busyness can fully quiet. That is exactly what this person has been living with. And that feeling, that persistent and honest longing, is what has finally created the courage needed to take the next step. There are only so many days a heart can carry something this true in silence before it has no choice but to let it speak. There are decisions being made right now, quietly in the interior of this person's heart. Feelings are being sorted through with an honesty that was not possible before. Thoughts are being organized not just with the mind but with the soul, with the deepest sense of what truly matters. And all of it is being driven by one real, sincere, and no longer negotiable desire. Not to lose you again. Not to let another day go by carrying something this important in secret. Not to let fear win over love one more time. And you can feel this shift, even if you have not had the words for it. Somewhere, beneath the ordinary thoughts of your ordinary days, there is a part of you that has been quietly aware that something is changing. That something between you and this person is alive and moving even when nothing visible is happening. Your heart has been more alert lately, more open and more tuned in, more willing to hope. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual resonance. When two connected souls begin to move toward genuine alignment, they feel it simultaneously, in their own private interior worlds, even before any outward sign appears in the physical world. You were already feeling the truth of what is happening before you ever found this message. This message is simply confirming what your spirit already carried as knowing. What is coming may not arrive in the form of a grand gesture. The most powerful moments of love are very often the quietest ones. A message sent after a long silence. An unexpected reach out on an ordinary day. An honest conversation that starts with something small and opens into something that changes everything. A moment where this person looks at you and everything that has been held back is suddenly right there, visible and undeniable. Whatever form this arrival takes, the essence behind it will be unmistakable to you. Your soul will recognize it the moment it comes, before your mind even has time to fully process what is happening. The heart knows. It has always known. And yours has been quietly, faithfully waiting for exactly this. That is how it works when something is spiritually guided. And this is spiritually guided. Every part of it. Heaven has been working on this for a long time. Quietly, carefully, and with such deep love for both of you. Every difficult moment you have lived through on this journey. Every night you lay awake wondering if any of it still meant anything or mattered to anyone other than you. Every time you chose to stay in faith even when faith felt like the thinnest and most fragile thing you had. Every moment you chose not to give up, not to harden, not to close off completely even when closing off would have felt like relief. All of it was preparation, not punishment. Preparation. Every moment had a purpose, even the ones that hurt the most, especially the ones that hurt the most. Not one moment was wasted. Not one prayer went unheard. Not one act of quiet love went unseen by the spiritual realm. Heaven operates on a timeline that our human minds cannot always follow or understand, and that can be one of the most difficult things to accept when we are in the middle of a waiting season. But the spiritual realm never loses track of what is true. It never forgets what is real. And what exists between you and your soulmate is deeply, unmistakably real to heaven. It has been tended and watched over and protected even during the seasons when it seemed to be fading. The spiritual realm never allows a heart that loves genuinely to suffer without there being a purpose working quietly behind it. Every prayer you sent out into the night, every moment of hope you held in secret because it felt too tender to speak out loud, every time you chose, quietly and without fanfare, to keep believing in something you could not yet see. It was all received. Every single bit of it was taken in and honored. And now the response is being sent back to you. Because that is how divine exchange works at its core. You pour your faith out, and heaven, in its perfect and unhurried timing, pours something real and beautiful and lasting back in. Think about the last several weeks. Take a genuine moment and look back at them. Have things felt like they were quietly, subtly rearranging themselves around you? Like certain old patterns that had been holding things in place for a long time were gently giving way? Like something inside you was being made lighter, cleared of what it no longer needed to carry, made more spacious and more genuinely ready for something new? That feeling is real. That sensation of inner preparation is not imagined. That is what happens in the spiritual realm before a breakthrough becomes visible in the physical world. Because nothing arrives in your outer life until something has already shifted inside you. And that inner shift, that quiet but real internal movement, has been happening in you. And it has been happening simultaneously in the one you love. Your soulmate has been walking through their own transformation. Old wounds that were never properly tended have been in the process of closing, slowly and in the way that real healing always happens, not all at once but bit by bit, layer by layer. Things that used to create confusion and conflict and misunderstanding are becoming clearer. Feelings that were pushed down and denied because they were too big or too inconvenient or too frightening are now surfacing with a gentleness that makes them possible to face. This person is beginning to genuinely understand, perhaps for the first time at this depth, that real love is not something you can simply reason your way out of. It does not respond to logic. It does not follow the rules you set for it. It stays. It endures. It finds you again, even when you have tried everything you know to walk away from it. And now this person has stopped trying to walk away, because they have realized that walking away from something real only means carrying it with you in a different and heavier form. The angels showed me that within this person, a healing has been happening that most people around them cannot see from the outside. Because this kind of healing is deeply interior. It happens in the quiet hours of the night. It happens during a long drive when the mind finally becomes still enough for the heart to be heard. It happens in the space between sleeping and waking when all the defenses come down naturally and the truth rises without being called. It happens in a moment of sudden and complete clarity when a person realizes with absolute certainty that some things in this one short life are simply more important than their pride, their fear, or their need to protect themselves from being hurt again. Your soulmate has arrived at exactly that place. And from that place of genuine clarity, there is only one direction an honest heart can move. Forward, toward what matters most. toward the truth of what they feel, toward you. There is so much beauty in what the angels have shown me about the nature of what exists between the two of you. This is not an ordinary connection, and on some level you have always known that. The thread that runs between your souls, the invisible one that has never broken regardless of how much distance or time or misunderstanding or silence stretched between you, that thread is vibrating right now with a strength and a clarity that is impossible to overlook from the spiritual realm. It is resonating. It is alive. It is speaking in the language that souls use when they are ready to come home to each other. You know this feeling I am pointing to, that deep, persistent, sometimes frustrating sense that no matter what happens, no matter how much time passes or how much life comes between you and this person, something about them simply will not leave you. That is not weakness. That is not you clinging to something that has no real foundation. That is your soul recognizing something true and refusing, no matter how much your mind tries to convince it otherwise, to pretend that what it recognizes does not exist. And your soul does not get this wrong. The soul has access to a kind of knowing that goes far beyond what the mind can calculate or what the eyes can confirm. When your soul keeps returning to someone with that particular quality of recognition, there is a reason. And the reason is not just emotional. It is spiritual. The spiritual world is now clearing the path for that truth to be spoken out loud between you. Not in the interior silence where you have both been carrying it, but in the open, in the real world, in the form of words and gestures and presence that you can actually receive. The message that is on its way to you carries healing inside it. Not just information, not just words, but actual healing energy embedded in the intention behind it. It is not going to arrive as a perfectly polished speech. The most genuine things rarely do. It may come with vulnerability and nervousness in it. It may come with pauses, with the slight trembling that shows up when someone is finally saying something they have held for far too long and are not entirely sure how to release it. It may even come imperfectly worded, because truth rarely waits for perfect vocabulary before it needs to move through. But you will feel its sincerity the moment it lands. Because when something is genuinely real, it does not need perfect packaging. It just needs to be honest. And honest, open, and sincere is exactly what is coming toward you. This person wants you to know that you never truly left their mind. Even in the periods when they were doing everything available to them to convince themselves and everyone around them that they had moved on. Even in the silence that may have felt to you like indifference or forgetting. Even then, that the connection between you stayed alive even when it was not being acknowledged. That what you shared was not something replaceable or ordinary, and that this person now understands that with a certainty they did not possess before. Because time, when it is given enough of it, has a way of doing exactly this. Removing every excuse, every distraction, every layer of protective numbness, until only the raw and unargumentable truth remains. And the truth that remains when everything else has been stripped away is this. The love is real. It always has been. And it still is. You may have been asking yourself with some version of frustration or exhaustion lately, why now? Why is this only beginning to move now, after all this time? And it is an honest question that deserves an honest answer. The waiting has been real. It has cost you something. The uncertainty has been genuinely difficult to carry day after day. The moments of doubt have been heavy in ways that are hard to describe to someone who has not lived them. But here is what the angels have revealed to me about the timing of all of this. The spiritual timeline operates completely differently from our human timeline. Heaven does not work the way we work. Heaven works in layers, in depths, in the kinds of changes that have to happen at the root level before they can bloom at the surface level. It takes real time to heal wounds that went deep into the foundation of a person. It takes real time to release fears that have lived in the body and the nervous system for years. It takes real time to grow into the kind of inner clarity and emotional maturity that makes enduring and genuinely transformative love possible. If this moment had come any earlier in the journey, it would not have had the roots it carries right now. It would have been real, perhaps, but fragile, premature, missing the depth that makes it possible to last. What is being built in this moment and in the days ahead has roots. Strong, deep, enduring roots. The kind that hold not just through the beautiful seasons but through the hard ones too. This moment is coming at exactly the right time. And when it arrives, you are going to feel that truth in your bones. You are going to understand, perhaps more clearly than you ever have before, why things had to unfold the way they did. Not as punishment, not as evidence of failure or mistake, not as a detour from where you were supposed to be, but as a carefully and lovingly designed journey that was always, in every twist and every pause and every difficult stretch, leading both of you right here, to this new beginning, because that is precisely what is forming right now between you. A new beginning. Not a simple return to what existed before, because you cannot step back into the same river twice, and the river you knew before is not the river that is flowing now. Something better than a return. Something shaped and refined and deepened by everything both of you went through, everything you survived, everything you learned in the living of this journey. Something more conscious, more grounded, more truthful, and more genuinely lasting. A love that has been seasoned by real time and real trial and real transformation and is now ready to bloom in a way and at a depth that it simply could not have managed in an earlier season. The two of you are genuinely not the same people you were when this story first began. And that is not a loss to mourn. That is a gift to receive with open hands. Because the versions of you that are about to come into genuine connection are wiser and more self-aware. They are softer in the places that needed softening and stronger in the places that needed strengthening. They are ready in ways that your earlier selves, for all their beauty, simply were not yet. Dear soul, you have been so strong through all of this. So quietly and consistently and sometimes invisibly strong. You kept your heart open when every experience you had been through was giving you perfectly reasonable arguments for why you should close it. You kept your faith burning when the world around you and the circumstances you were living in gave you every reason to set it down and walk away from it. You kept loving even when loving meant carrying it alone in silence. Even when no one around you could see what you were holding. Even in the private moments when you genuinely, honestly wondered whether any of it was worth it and whether the love you were tending was going anywhere at all. It was worth it. Every single moment of it. Not one day was wasted. Not one act of quiet faithfulness disappeared into nothing. Heaven was watching every single moment of it. And now heaven is answering. The path ahead does not ask you to force anything or rush toward anything. It asks something actually much harder and much more beautiful than forcing. It asks you to stay present, to receive. When this person reaches toward you in the coming days, let yourself truly hear what is being offered. Not through the familiar filter of old pain or old fear or old expectations about how things go. Hear it fresh, as if for the first time, because in the most important ways it is for the first time. When a gesture comes, let yourself feel it without immediately analyzing it to death. Let it arrive. Let it mean what it means right now in this new season, separate from the weight of everything that came before. And trust the discernment you have been quietly developing through all of this. You know more now than you did before. You are more equipped to recognize what is real. You deserve this. You have genuinely earned this through your faithfulness and your courage and your willingness to stay open when closing would have been so much easier. And more than anything else, you are ready for this. More ready than you have ever been. The angels also want you to understand something that goes even deeper than the personal. What is forming between you and your soulmate is not only a reunion of two hearts that missed each other. It is something with real spiritual weight and meaning behind it. Two souls that were designed to find each other, that have kept finding each other across distance and time and difficulty and misunderstanding, are now being brought into alignment at a new and more conscious and more prepared level. There is a mission inside this connection. When two souls who were truly meant to meet actually come together in truth and love and genuine readiness, something happens that is larger than just personal happiness for two people. They grow together in ways that would not be possible for either of them separately. They heal things in each other that nothing and no one else could reach. They bring something into the world around them, something into their families and their friendships and their communities that would not and could not exist without their union. That is what is being restored right now. Something that was always meant to exist. Something that was planted in both of you before either of you fully understood what you were carrying. And it is finally, at long last, coming home. So let your heart soften. Let the walls that were built from necessary and understandable self-protection come down just a little. Not all at once, not recklessly, but gently and naturally, the way ice softens when the season changes. The way a flower opens not in one dramatic moment but petal by petal, in its own beautiful and unhurried time. Open yourself to the honest and grounded possibility that what you have always carried in your deepest heart is not just a dream that will forever live just out of reach, but a spiritual truth that is now actively, concretely becoming real in the world you can see and feel and live in. Everything is already moving. The energy that reached me today was not vague or symbolic or easy to dismiss. It was specific, urgent, and unmistakably clear. And it carried you in it. This is not a message designed to create a general feeling of hope in a broad audience. This is a message that was brought through because heaven has something specific to say to you at this specific moment. Because the angels know your heart is genuinely ready to receive it. They know you have done the inner work, not perfectly, not without struggle or setback, but faithfully. They know the love you carry is real and deserving and already aligned with something that is greater than what the human eye alone can perceive. Let me tell you something specific about what heaven has revealed to me about this person. Your soulmate has been experiencing something lately that cannot be easily explained away or rationalized. A flooding of memories. Your presence keeps returning to their thoughts without being invited or called there. A familiar place they drive past becomes unexpectedly full of you. A quiet evening fills up with the memory of your voice. A name overheard somewhere makes their heart turn before their mind has had any chance to catch up with what is happening. These are not simply the random workings of a nostalgic mind. These are spiritual signals. Heaven is using every available opening to gently and persistently awaken this person to what they have been too afraid to fully acknowledge, even to themselves in their most private moments. And it is working. The awakening is real. It is happening right now. The wall that once seemed so solid and permanent inside this person's heart is crumbling. Not from the outside, not from pressure or circumstance forcing it down. From the inside, because love that is genuinely alive does not wait indefinitely to be recognized. It rises when it is ready. It insists on being seen. It finds its way to the surface no matter how many layers have been placed on top of it. And that is precisely what is happening. The love this person carries for you has risen to a place where it can no longer be contained or denied or explained away as something other than what it is. It is asking to be expressed. It is ready, in every sense of that word, to be lived. What arrives in the coming days may show up in the simplest of forms. Do not overlook what seems small. A brief message on an ordinary day. A reason to reach out that appears casual on the surface but carries something much larger behind it. An unexpected gesture of care or attention that arrives when you are not expecting it. Sometimes the most important emotional doors begin to open with the smallest and most ordinary of human movements. Pay close attention to what arrives in the days ahead. Pay attention with fresh eyes and an open heart. Do not filter it through the lens of what happened before or what you feared would happen. Let it arrive new. Let it be what it is right now, in this new and different season, separate from every older version of the story. This is new energy, new timing, new readiness, on both sides. And I want to speak directly and gently to something I sense in many of the hearts that are drawn to a message like this one. The fear, that quiet, persistent fear that lives just beneath the surface of the hope and whispers with a very convincing voice. What if I let myself believe and it still does not happen? What if I open up again and it leads to more pain? What if hoping again is just setting myself up to be broken one more time? I hear that fear. The angels hear it. It makes complete and understandable sense after everything you have been through. And I want to address it with love and with honesty rather than brush past it. Dear one, the bravest thing that any person can do, and I mean this with everything I am, is to choose to believe again after they have known real pain. It takes far more courage to hope than it does to give up. It takes far more genuine inner strength to stay open than it does to close off permanently where it feels safe and protected. And the fact that you are here right now, still listening, still allowing yourself to feel the possibility of something beautiful after everything your heart has already been through, that is not naivety. That is not weakness masquerading as hope. That is extraordinary spiritual strength. The kind that heaven notices, the kind that heaven moves toward. And that very strength is part of what makes you deserving of every beautiful thing that is approaching you right now. Real faith is not the absence of fear. Real faith is choosing to keep moving forward even while the fear is present and loud and doing its very best to be convincing. That is what you have been doing throughout this entire journey, moving forward in faith even on the days when you could not see where the path was leading. Choosing love over armor, choosing hope over the numbing comfort of giving up. And heaven honors that choice with absolute consistency. Heaven moves toward that kind of courage every single time. You do not need certainty to receive what is coming. You do not need to have everything figured out in advance or know exactly how it will look or how it will unfold. You just need to stay open. And you are doing that right now, in this moment, by being here and letting this message reach the parts of you that needed to hear it. Something genuinely good is coming for you. Something real and lasting and prepared with a level of care and intention that goes far beyond what human effort alone could arrange. The angels have been working on this, quietly and patiently, with deep love for you and for the one who loves you. Not only for your soulmate's healing and growth, for yours as well, because your healing matters to heaven. Your joy matters to heaven. Your story is not finished. Not even close. The most beautiful chapters of your story have not yet been written. The most powerful truth I want to leave settled in your heart today is this. When love is real, it does not disappear. It may go underground for a season. It may become buried under accumulated layers of fear or confusion or the ordinary weight of life. But real love is alive. And what is alive always reaches for light, cannot do otherwise. That reaching is part of its nature, part of what makes it real and not just a feeling. Your love is reaching for the light right now, both of yours, simultaneously, and the light is reaching back, more than halfway. Everything that felt like waiting was preparation being done with love and precision. Everything that felt like loss was a transformation working at depths neither of you could see from where you stood. Everything that felt like silence was heaven quietly and carefully and lovingly rearranging things, softening hearts, closing old wounds, clearing old debris, so that when the right moment arrived, it would arrive in its full beauty and its full truth. And that moment is almost here. You can feel it. Your spirit already knows. The coming days are going to carry something special in them. I want you to be fully present for what arrives. Stay open to it. Stay soft to what touches your heart unexpectedly. Stay trusting in the quiet knowing that has been with you through all of this. The one that told you this was not over even when everything visible seemed to be saying otherwise. That knowing was right. It has always been right about this. And now what it has been faithfully pointing you toward is about to become something you can see and feel and hold and live. Not just carry in secret hope. Your guardian angel walks with you through every single step of everything that is ahead. I am with you in the moments when the old fear tries to return and make you doubt. I am with you in the flutters of hope when your heart feels lighter and more open than it has in a long time. I am with you in every sign you notice in the coming days and wonder about. I am there when your heart speeds up for no reason your mind can fully explain. I am there when an unexpected peace moves through you in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. I am there in the stillness of the early morning when the world is quiet and your heart is the most unguarded and the most honest. Always, in all of it, through every single moment, you are never navigating any of this alone. Trust the love you carry. Trust the spiritual truth that has been woven through every word of this message for you today. Trust that what is genuinely and truly meant for you will find you. And it will find you at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right form, with exactly the depth and the sincerity and the fullness that your heart has always deserved and has always been capable of receiving. Hold on, beautiful soul. What is coming is worth every single breath of the wait, every single moment of the faith you kept, every single act of quiet, invisible courage you showed up with when no one was watching. The wait is almost over. May the angels surround you in their light right now and in every day that follows. May they carry your heart gently and tenderly and with such love through everything that is unfolding. May you feel their presence not as something distant and abstract and beyond reach, but as a warmth you can actually sense in your chest, a peace that settles into your bones, a quiet and unshakable certainty that moves through you and tells you, softly and clearly and with complete authority, everything is going to be okay. More than okay. It is going to be beautiful. You are fully seen. In every part of what you have been carrying. In every corner of what you have been feeling. In every moment of every day. You are known more deeply than you have yet realized. You are loved by forces that never sleep and never stop working quietly and powerfully for your highest good, your healing, your genuine and lasting happiness. With all the love that heaven holds, with every blessing the angels have the power to give, with infinite gratitude for the extraordinary soul that you are and for the courage with which you have loved. Always and in all ways your guardian angel. End of text.